Well, the last few days I've been wearing this watch. It's from Erard. It's part of the Sportive collection. It's a chronograph and it's constructed of grade 5 titanium and it's a limited edition. I'm just going to give you a brief overview of the watch. If you want to know more about it, there is actually a very detailed write-up on the watch on escapementmagazine.com. In terms of the dial, it's presented in blue and black. You actually, when you look at the dial, it's like a petrol blue at the centre, and as it moves outwards towards the periphery of the dial, it transitions into a black shade. 3 counters. Just one thing to point out on the counters: they blend a smooth track with a snailed centre. It's a small detail, but one of the things that you find on this Erard watch is that they focus a lot on little tiny details which just enrich the ownership experience, make it just feel that little bit more expensive than it actually is. The other thing that you'll see is that it's got a day and a date display, the luminescent hour and minute hands, and applied indexes. The tachymeter scale, which encircles the dial, is quite slender, but it's easy to read. And what's interesting is when you actually look at the case of the watch, you'll see that the sapphire crystal, I don't know if you can see that very well here, but I'm going to show you close-ups. The sapphire crystal sits above the bezel quite markedly. They call it an extra domed sapphire crystal. I find it quite attractive. It introduces a little bit of character to the watch. It makes it a little bit more interesting. What they've also done is on the bezel, they actually got a highly polished, gleaming ring or side to it, which contrasts with the satin brush on adjacent surfaces. In terms of the case itself, 44mm, if you actually look at the stated depth of the case, stated thickness, it's 15mm, which sounds quite a lot, but actually you've got to factor in the fact that the sapphire crystal sits a bit proud. And also the case back actually slopes in, and that has a big benefit because when you're wearing the watch, because it slopes in, the wrist articulates very easily. It doesn't inhibit movement, and actually again I find that quite useful, quite comfortable. The case is a big thing. Now they do offer this in bronze, but for a small premium you can have it in grade 5 titanium. I'd always go for the grade 5 titanium. Why? Because you wouldn't ordinarily find grade 5 titanium on this price, at this price point. Just to explain, grade 2 is a pure form of titanium. Grade 5 is an alloy of titanium, so they've actually blended a couple of other elements there, like aluminium for example. And in so doing, they've made it a lot stronger, a lot harder. Titanium, grade 2 or grade 5, the benefits are that it's hypoallergenic. So if you're prone to if you've got a nickel allergy for example, it's going to be a lot friendlier to your skin. It's for this reason, for example, titanium is used for hip replacements, things like that. It's used a lot in the medical field. Its weight, it's got a very low mass, and for that reason it's used in the aeronautical industry, it's used in motorsports. In terms of the surface, it's not liable to corrosion, it's not subject to magnetism. So these are all benefits that you really want in watchmaking. The problem with grade 5 titanium is that it's incredibly expensive to machine. So this will be put in what's called a CNC machine, and when you're actually milling the case, the tools wear out very quickly. And it can actually cost the actual machining cost will be greater for milling a titanium case than it would be for, let's say, gold. So there is a big difference in that. However, this is a quite affordable grade 5 titanium case. So you really got to sort of say, how have they done that? And I'm still, having done the review, I haven't had it, I still can't get my head around how they've done it for the price, because it's a great price. They've clearly got a very good supplier, that's all I can suggest. In terms of the execution of the case as well, there's no signs of penny pinching. The big difficulty when you actually have a case is to try and put a satin brush surface in close proximity to a highly polished surface. It sounds easier than it really is, because you're trying to delineate those surfaces so that you don't have a wavy line, they're very sharp, precise segregation between highly polished and satin brush, and this does that. The other thing about the cases is that if you actually look, they've just accentuated just these beveled edges here with a high polished gleam and juxtaposed it with this sort of satin brush. It really is very, very nicely done. It's very attractive. Strap is a bit unusual. It's calf, but I mean, it just feels rubbery to me. But it's incredibly comfortable to wear. And again, you know, details. It's not on a pin buckle. They've gone to the expense of putting on a folding clasp. Again, very, very good for the price point. The movement is the old tried and tested 7750, the Valjoux 7750. It's a very affordable movement. I wouldn't expect to see column wheel, vertical coupling, high levels of finishing at this price point. It's just not viable. There is nothing wrong with the Valjoux 7750. It's a very reliable movement. It's easy to service. It's most watchmakers will be very familiar with it, and I personally hold it in very high regard. The other thing I would say as well is just the overall quality of it is just very, very good. I've worn it now for a week. I like it. I mean, just one last thing. I know I talk a lot. One last thing is the dial just plays with light really well. You're looking at it one time and it's like a petrol-y blue, as I say, and then it suddenly morphs into a dark blue, then it looks pale blue. It's a very, very attractive colour, very, very impressive execution, and again, it's not really what I expect at this price point. So Louis Erard, definitely worth a look, definitely good value for money, and yeah, I'll be spending more time evaluating their products in the near future.